Galloway's support through sight loss. Galloway's Get Active. Brockholes Nature Reserve, Riverside and Woodland.
Hello everyone, James here and Jane.
Hi.
Wearing a Christmas hat, Christmas
pudding
hat. Today we're at Brockholes again. We're going to do a different walk around Brockholes. This time we're going to go around a different part of Woodland where there's some sculptures, and we're also going to show you some of the River Ribble. So it's more of a meadow and riverside walk today. So it's a lot nicer weather than it was before. It's a bit chilly. We are the end of November, so it's not going to get any better for a month or two, or for 2 or 3 months probably. So anyways, we're going to make the most of it. It is nice dry. It might be a bit muddy in places, but we've got the right equipment on, so we should be fine. So come along and we'll show you a bit more around Brockholes.
There's a sign about bees which Jane reads to us.
Sandy homes for solitary mining bees. Brockholes was previously a sand and gravel quarry, so provides ideal ground conditions for solitary mining bees. Mining bees do not swarm and do not have social hives like honeybees. They are not aggressive, so are very welcome throughout our reserve. They do eat nectar and pollen from flowers, just like other bees. Some of them are specialist feeders and only feed from certain types of flower, whereas others are generalists and like all different types of flower. They are very good at mining and like sandy soil and ground that is bare. They hibernate underground in winter and then emerge in spring. Each female bee excavates an underground tunnel that is 20 to 40 centimetres long, with about 5 little nest chambers at the bottom. She lays an egg in each chamber and deposits nectar and pollen for each larva to feed on. There are many different species of mining bee using the sandy bee homes here at Brockholes, including the tawny mining bee, Clark's mining bee, ashy mining bee, common mining bee, and the sandpit mining bee.
Video's now showing some metal plates in a triangular shape set in the grass bank, and in these metal plates there are some cutouts of different animals and birds.
Brockholes, a floating world. Brockholes is part of your local charity, the Lancashire Wildlife Trust. The design concept of a floating village came as a response to Brockholes being located on a floodplain. Its location and design were carefully considered to minimise its impact on the natural environment, and most importantly for us, as it sits nestled amongst the reeds, it brings you, our visitor, closer to nature.
Video shows a shot of the visitor centre.
Reed beds. Reed beds provide a home for birds and other wildlife. Sadly, reed beds have declined in Lancashire and their wildlife has disappeared with them. We are creating them here at Brockholes and grow our own reed on site, but it will be many years before the reed beds are fully grown. The visitor village nestles in a reed bed so that you can get close to the birds. You might not see them, but you will definitely hear them. So whilst on your walk at Brockholes, and whilst passing the reed beds, listen and look out for this sedge warbler.
There's an image of a bird which is called the sedge warbler.
They have wonderful song flights between perches. They also rise straight up with fluttering wing beats. They descend in a slow spiral with wings and tail outspread.
So from the visitor centre we follow the path that leads round past the reed beds and leads slightly uphill. This is a gravel path with heathland on both sides. There are views over the lakes. Up on a grassy mound there's a statue The statue is of a badger, looks like a Wind in the Willows character. It's carved out of wood and it's probably about 4 foot high. So back along the path we carry on, we leave the badger behind us. We take the path that leads downhill on your right hand side. The path carries on downhill. You go through some trees until you get to the path end where you can turn left or right. We turn left. So now we'll carry on walking along the path and there's a woodland on your right hand side. There's a sign that reads Viking Wood. Go into this woodland and there's a camp area in front of you with a fire pit. These small wooded areas are used by children and schools. There's den making facilities as well. So you'll see on the floor there's some logs and they use them to make dens and hides and things like that. So fun activities for children. There's now showing a statue, another carving of a raven, which is probably about 18 inch to 2 feet high. There's drops of water dripping off its beak, and Jane's just running a hand down it to give you some sort of scale. It's now showing a donut hopping around a wood pile. It's a brown and grey bird about the size of a sparrow. Just follow the path as it weaves through the woodland and eventually comes back onto the main track again, where we turn right. Keep following the path for a short distance and then there's another track on your right that goes into another little woodland. Again, in this woodland there's the den building materials, there's another camp area and a fire pit. And there's another wooden statue of a head, like an old man's head. There's green on top, which looks like his hair. Follow the path and that will take us to give us our first glimpse of the River Ribble. This is just a side detour from the main woodland. Video shows Jane looking over the river. So back in the woodland we retrace our steps to the main path in the woodland and we follow that as it weaves its way through. There's a lot more undergrowth in this part of the woodland. We keep following it, we come to another sculpture, this time of a troll. It's about 3 feet high, it's got big eyes, pointy nose, large pointy ears. So carry on following the path and it comes out of the woodland. And we head for another short woodland across some grass. Deep, dark wood. There's an ominous sign to this woodland. So we enter into this woodland and there's another sculpture, this time of an owl. Again, this one is about 2 feet tall. It's carved out of wood. You've got the eyes facing forwards, the little hooked bill, and all the carvings of the feathers. So we leave the carving of the owl behind and follow the path out of the woodland. There's lots of trees here that are covered in moss, really bright greens of the moss. Once out of the woodland, we turn right and follow the main track that we were on at the beginning. So we follow this for a short distance, and then we cut across the grass on a grass track, which will take us to the banks of the river. Just a little viewing area, but there was no notice on this one. So we turn left when we get to the river and just walk along the river bank. So the video is showing the river on our right hand side with reflections of the trees. There's no leaves on the trees at this time of the year. So this area is grassland on our left hand side, and in the summer months there's a mass of all sorts of different sorts of butterflies that you can see. We keep the river on our right hand side and we keep heading for some woodland in front of us. Once we get there, we leave the river and we turn to our left and just skirt the outside of the wood. This path can get quite muddy at places. It's probably the muddiest part of the walk that you might do. We keep following the track, and that brings us onto the Guild Wheel cycle track, which is where we walked in our last Brockholes video. So once we get onto the Guild Wheel, you can either turn right, which will take you through the woodland that we did in our last video, or turn left and we'll walk down the Guild Wheel back towards the visitor centre. This part of the walk is the walk we did, but the opposite way round in the last video. So we keep following the path until we come to a bird feeding area. There's lots of birds flying about here. There's a big flock of blue tits and great tits. Video showing a picture of a blue tit preening itself with its wing hanging out to the left. The blue tit is a small bird, around about 12 centimetres in size, and its bright colours of bright blue, yellow, white and a little bit of black. Showing the blue tit on a stump. And then all we do now is follow the path back to the visitor centre and the car park.
So that's just another walk round Brockholes Nature Reserve. This time we've taken in some of the other woodlands, little woodlands. There was the deep dark wood, Viking wood. Took in some of the River Ribble, and then back along the Guild Wheel where we stopped off, and we've got some seen some of the friendly blue tits that were around here, the pheasant, and there's a little shot of a dunnock. So very peaceful, quite chill, bit of a chilly day. If you want to know more about this walk, drop me a comment and I'll gladly tell you how to get here. But we're at Brockholes Nature Reserve, which is just at the side of the M6 motorway, just outside Preston. It's Lancashire Wildlife Trust. And like I say, if you want to know any more, give me a call, and the number is 01772 744 148. Stay safe, look after each other, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Galloway's support through sight loss.